Huge controversy in the U.S. Open Cup. As I'm sure you're probably aware, the match between Sharktopus and Bellevue looks like it's going to potentially be rescheduled. Not to be confused, of course, with Sharknado FC. This is Sharktopus. But, you know, as Sharktopus, they're not the bad guys in this story, as you'd probably imagine. Now, I'm gonna steal a point that's made here. I need to find the person that made this point. The person being Pablo Iglesias Maurer, who will probably never even see this, right? They said that, you know, people say the U.S. doesn't have any footballing culture. I agree. I agree with Pablo Iglesias Maurer that this proves that there is a unique, voluptuous, developing footballing culture in the United States. Sharktopus FC. Right, and I actually probably should have Googled Sharktopus FC before I started recording this video. They have 860 followers on Instagram. Sorry, 928. They've really leveled things up recently. Men's semi-pro footy in Seattle, Washington. At least according to what I understand, they just play in local leagues. Right, the only serious information I can find out about this match between Sharktopus and Bellevue, why it's rescheduled, which is a hilarious controversy and everything else, is from this article. So big shout out to my boy Michael Batista for reporting on this. And apparently both of these teams play up by Seattle. The reason for that is because the U.S. Open Cup, which is the equivalent of the FA Cup, starts in the same way. It starts regional. Right, and this is an early qualifying match as part of the U.S. Open Cup to get into the actual main draw of the tournament, and the only person that might have ever been able to cover this was Michael Batista. But he wrote an exhaustive article about Bellevue and Sharktopus. Now, the two teams actually played a great match. I'll summarize a little bit of this for you. They played a great match. It went to extra time. Sharktopus got out to a nice early lead before Bellevue pulled it back. Now, Bellevue is, again, I'm just rehashing what you already know here. Bellevue is the favorite. They play in the, I believe it's the UPSL or something like that. It's a national system of leagues of amateur teams, right? And they're a step above basically where Sharktopus is, which is they play in the kind of local leagues. But they have then filed, after losing an extra time in a great match, they have filed an official protest with U.S. Soccer alleging the referee was compromised by a conflict of interest. Sharktopus, of course, competes in the Seattle Recreational Adult Team Soccer League, more commonly known as RATS. SICK. Bellevue participate in national and regional organizations with their first team and their reserve team. There are multiple teams associated with Bellevue Club. Okay, that's going to come back to haunt them here. All right, that's going to come back to haunt them. The situation. The issue stems from referee Alex Wolbert, who served as the game's main referee. So this wasn't like the fourth official. This is the guy in the middle. Records show that Wolbert played for Bellevue Athletic on and off since 2022. The referee, I mean, dude, this is some South American type nonsense here. The referee of the match had played for one of the teams not like 20 years ago, very recently. Or had he? That was the question Michael Batista had to set out to answer. So the United Premier Soccer League, which is what I was referencing that Bellevue plays in, they don't have historical roster information available. But Michael Batista did not quit. He found Wolbert's page on the site, which is linked right here. Now it's gone. So maybe he didn't. Who knows? And under his name, it lists him as a member of Bellevue Athletic, which is, of course, one of the two clubs in the match that he officiated. He then used the Wayback Machine to show that Wolbert has been on the roster of Bellevue Athletic 4 different times, dating back to 2022 and through 2023. I will see if we can load the Wayback Machine here in order to show that. He looks to have played more than 20 matches with the team in total. This is obviously, like, before we get to the rest of the story, this is an obvious, massive conflict of interest, right? You cannot referee a game for a team with which you have just played for a significant amount of time. That does not work. It cannot work. It shall not stand, right? That just doesn't make any sense. More recently, Wolbert appeared for Bellevue Athletic 2, right? So he played for, this is the senior team, through the fall of 2023, it would appear, right? He's at least listed on the team somewhere. See if we can find him. There he is. Alex Wolbert, 20 appearances listed on the UPSL website. So shout out to my boy Wolbert. The investigation was not over because, like I said, even though he was no longer on the first team, he was apparently still playing for the reserve team, currently appearing on the team's official roster page. He's on the official roster page for Bellevue Athletic too. Man, come on. Like, obviously, this is a pretty huge roster page. So clearly, this isn't that crazy. But there he is. There's Alex Wolbert. There's the guy that was the actual official of this game. He's listed as a member of the reserve team of the other team. They also found video online showing Wolbert playing for them earlier this year in the Evergreen Premier League, like a local league in Washington. His personal Instagram is post from September 2022 of him playing with Bellevue. His bio on the school's website, because he's an assistant coach for the Bellevue College men's soccer team, it says he played semi-professionally in the UPSL. Like, this guy found so much evidence to he's got it dead to rights here. And I have no idea how nobody catches this. But the most alarming thing for me is that this Wolbert guy gets the assignment to referee this match, right? And he doesn't, it's not weird to me that somebody that's refereeing a local level qualifier for the US Open Cup isn't, has recently played semi-pro ball or whatever. What is weird to me is that he would get this assignment and not go, oh, Bellevue, that's my club. That's who I've been playing with for like 4 years. No, I can't ref that. Just assign me another match. I can't ref this match. Right? But for some reason, he doesn't say that. And then this epic match happens between Sharktopus and Bellevue. Goes to extra time. Bellevue wins. But now Sharktopus could turn around and go, well, hold on a gosh darn tootin' second. The referee of this whole match was a Bellevue player, essentially. So the statements from the clubs. Bellevue Athletic going first. We respect the role of the officials and the importance of transparency, and as a standard procedure, we were unaware of the referee assignments until arriving at the match. After consulting U.S. Soccer's official handbook, we believe there was no vested interest and that all procedures were properly followed. Honestly, if you find out who the guy is when you get to the match, I mean, this guy was on your team 2 years ago. He's still on your reserve team now. Somebody should have been like, wait. Because you got to know how this is going to go down. I'd be really surprised if Sharktopus did not find this out. This is not some sort of publicly hidden thing. He's currently on the roster of the reserve team. In his bio, as an assistant coach, it says that's who he played for. Right? This is not well hidden. Okay? So somebody's going to find this out. And even if you win the match like Bellevue did, Bellevue should have put a stop to this. Because they'll be able to turn around and go, well, wait, it was kind of rigged against us. We appreciate the efforts of everyone involved in maintaining fairness and remain focused on representing our community with integrity. Honestly, way too much of a PR statement for, like an amateur club. You might as well just say what you're actually thinking here. Sharktopus also provided a statement. Of course they did. I'm sure Sharktopus FC has a huge PR team here. We love this game and the community around it. What happened was an unfortunate oversight that shouldn't happen at any level. We've been in communication with U.S. Soccer and hope it leads to clearer, more transparent processes before the match. Our goal is simple: to keep the U.S. Open Cup fair, competitive, and worthy of the players and fans to make it special. Normally, when you have teams like this that lodge complaints, like Ghana, beating South Africa in qualifying for the last World Cup, and South Africa protests the penalty call or whatever, I'm generally going to side against it. But this is so obviously wrong. Right, in MLS, you had referees getting banned from reffing Inter Miami matches because there was a picture floating around online somewhere of them at one point having worn a Messi jersey, which, to be honest, I feel like the majority of football fans have at one point in their life worn a Messi jersey. It's hard to have not worn a Messi jersey at some point if you are around the world of football, but they're still obviously banning referees from reffing Inter Miami matches if that's the case. This is a whole other level. I was on the team for years. I played for the team. I'm still on the team. I have no idea how this happens. This is just like a bureaucratic error that occurred within U.S. Soccer, and the guy or the club both had the opportunity to correct it and just assumed Sharktopus wouldn't find out. But you know what? Sharktopus, full credit to you. They found out. And the most likely thing is they're just going to have to replay the match with a different referee, and that's cool. But if they do find, for whatever reason, that Bellevue was complicit. Bellevue could get rolled, and Sharktopus is headed to the next qualifying round of the U.S. Open Cup, which is great. Now, there is another kind of counter argument that happens from Bellevue that I just wanted to address. The spokesperson for Bellevue claimed that both teams, the first team and the reserve team, are operated by completely different staff members, except for the sporting director, Anastasia Rivera. I guess I kind of get the argument that they're operating differently, but clearly they're not operating that differently, because the odds of, if they are completely different clubs, of you going from the first team to the second team over the last couple of years kind of directly without any steps in between are incredibly low, right? So there's clearly a connection between those two clubs. And even if there isn't, even if you remove the reserve team from the equation, this guy played for your first team 2 years ago. He's on the roster in the Wayback Machine. He was there. He's listed with 20 appearances. No, you can't do this. Justice for Sharktopus FC.